there, this is Vahid from VRF Education channel, and welcome to another session of design patterns in C++ and Qt framework. Till now, we've talked about most useful patterns in creational and structural categories, and a few of them remain, and I'm gonna back to them after checking useful patterns in behavioral category. Today we are going to talk about observer pattern. It's a behavioral design pattern, and in fact it's the first behavioral pattern that we are going to talk in this series. This pattern, also known as event subscriber or listener pattern, and defines a subscription mechanism to notify multiple objects about any events that happen to the object they are observing. What does it mean? Look at this picture. We have a couple of subscribers here, a couple of objects that watching our target object and waiting for some specific event. For example, they are waiting for this acrobatic man to do wrong with these balls, and they laugh, something like this. So they need to sit somewhere and wait for something like busy waiting in our thread. But with observer pattern, we are going to remove this busy waiting things or problem and tell the subscriber about the event as it's happened immediately, without need to checking for that event periodically inside the subscriber. Let's look at another scenario. Imagine that you have two types of objects, a customer and a store. The customer is very interested in a particular brand of product, for example, a new type of cell phone, which should become available in the store very soon. The customer could visit the store every day and check product availability. But while the product is still en route, most of these trips would be pointless. So we have a lot of unnecessary trips or pointless trips here in this type of getting inquired for a phone. On the other hand, the store could send tons of emails to all customers each time a new product becomes available. This would save some customers from endless trips to the store. At the same time, it upset other customers who aren't interested in new products. So in this picture, we have only one person or one customer looking for a specific type of product. These other customers are somehow get upset by receiving unnecessary emails. So what is the real solution in observer pattern? Let's see a couple of idioms inside this pattern. We have an object, or the object that has some interesting state for the others, and it's called subject object. But since it's also going to notify other objects about the change to its state, we call it publisher. All other objects that want to track changes to the publisher states are called subscribers. So we have two types of object here, a publisher and one or more subscribers. The observer pattern suggests that you add a subscription mechanism to the publisher class, so individual objects can subscribe or unsubscribe from the stream of events coming from that publisher. Well, things are not complicated as it sounds. In reality, this mechanism consists of an array field for storing a list of reference to subscriber, and several public methods which allow adding subscriber and removing them from the list. So here, as you can see, we have a publisher class, an array of subscriber, and a method here, notify subscriber, and also we have a couple of methods for adding and removing subscriber. Every time the state of publisher change, it's gonna notify all these subscriber through their update method, for example in this scenario, about this state changed. Okay, let's see the structure of this pattern. Here we have an interface or a base class named subscriber, an abstract class that contains the method that we're going to use. That method inside the publisher class to notify subscriber about event happening. Here inside the publisher, we have a list of subscriber, the concrete subscriber that inherit from this class. And also we have some methods, for example, subscribe and unsubscribe, that add or remove concrete subscribers to or from this array or list of subscribers inside the publisher class. And then inside a method named notify subscriber, we are going to iterate over this array and call the update method of all the subscriber. So they're getting to know something happened inside the publisher, and they should react upon this change in their codes. Let's go to Qt Creator and create a project for this pattern and see how it works in practice. If you are new to this tutorial, I should tell you that I create a Qt application, a Qt widget application for checking patterns in practice, and push it also to my GitHub repository so you can download it and work with patterns code on your local machine. And inside this project, I create a folder for each pattern that consists all the files needed for that specific pattern. And sometimes for one pattern we have more than one folder because I explained it in two different, for example, samples, or sometimes we have two different implementation for one pattern. So sometimes we have two different folder for one pattern. For example, decorator, factory method, and builder pattern. Now I'm going to add another folder to this hierarchy named observer and add the files needed for this pattern to this folder. Okay, let's see what we are going to implement as a sample for observer pattern. I'm going to model a smart home. Inside this application, we have a temperature sensor that's going to monitor the current temperature of the kitchen, for example. And if the temperature goes above a threshold, for example, 40 degree, then I'm going to raise an alarm and send SMS and also make a phone call to fire station. So here we have three subscriber: phone, SMS, and alarm classes. And also we have a target class or a publisher named temperature sensor. These are the things that we're going to model inside this application. So first of all, I'm going to add a new client. For client, I'm going to use Qt Designer Form class. And as with the previous patterns, I'm going to call it observer observer demo, or observer demo dialog, and change the file name in this way and add this file to observer folder. I created it already inside this path. So add it, yeah. Here we have our UI. Now I'm gonna add three different buttons, each for example, phone, SMS, and alarm. And also I'm gonna add a close button here. And if you're not familiar with Qt Design or Qt Creator, it's not a big deal because all the codes needed for this pattern will be written in C++, so you can apply it to all your C++ applications, and don't worry about Qt things. So I'm gonna also add a spacer between these widgets and align them inside the horizontal layout, and let's add a text edit as our console and align them horizontally. So I'm gonna change their name. This is close button. Let's add, for example, add phone. In this button, I'm gonna subscribe phone as a subscriber inside temperature publisher class. Add SMS class. Add alarm, and I'm gonna add three other buttons for the remove or unsubscribe. Remove phone, remove SMS, and remove alarm. That's it. Let's also change the name. This is btn add phone, btn add SMS, btn add alarm, and this one is btn close, and this one is what? Btn remove phone, btn remove SMS, and btn remove alarm. And that's it. Let's also connect the click signal or click events of this button to reject a slot of this dialog, so we can get back to our main window. And I forgot to show you the main window. If you're again new to this tutorial, we have a main entrance for each pattern. This is our main window. Now I'm going to add the first button inside the behavioral category. Let's also align it using this grid layout and change it to observer. So in future we're going to add another button inside this category also, btn observer, btn observer. That's it. Let's also go to the click handler or click a slot for this button. That's, let's build the application. So I'm gonna say we have observer demo dialog, name it DLG, and just execute it. DLG, let's also bring this header file here, DLG dot execute or exec. That's it. And before I forgot, let's get back to this dialog and change also this name to txt console. Let's run the application to see what we have right now, if the connections are okay. So that's it. If I click on this button, you can see a dialog will be shown. And also let's change the dialog name to, it's not necessary, but let's do it, observer. So that's it. Now let's also create a click handler for these buttons. Also this one, go to slots, and maybe we don't need to add anything inside this console. Let's see what we're going to do. So this is the first one. This is our client application, and the next thing is to create a base abstract base class or an interface in other programming languages. So I'm going to add a new C++ class. This time I'm going to use this template C++, and let's change it to set the name to something like iNotifier, or let's just set notifier because it's not an interface. We are inside C++ class notifier, and change the name also to this one, and that's it. So inside the notifier class, I'm going to create a virtual method. So we need to implement it inside the other class, and I'm going to make it as pure virtual function. The output is void, and the name is temperature raised. And let's also pass the temperature, for example, int degree, int value, and that's it. So we don't need any implementation inside this notifier class. I forgot. Let's also notifier. That's it. And let's change the file name also, or correct the file name. Install. Okay, let's build the application to see if everything is okay. Oops. Inside this, what does it say? Let's clean the solution and build it one more time. So as it seems, we have this notifier class somewhere else inside the other classes, and I forgot to add namespace. So let's change it, for example, to something like this: temperature notifier. Oops, let's use this notation and change it all the things inside the observer, not the decorator pattern. I'm going to change it to temperature notify, temperature notifier. And also let's change the file name again to temperature notifier. Okay, let's build the application. Doesn't name a type. What does it mean? Temperature notifier. But I think maybe I changed somewhere else. Let's also see. Yeah, okay. So let's build the application. Okay, everything is just fine. Now let's add those concrete subscriber. So inside this folder, I'm going to add a couple of classes. For example, phone manager class, something like this. Phone manager. The base class for this one is temperature notifier. That's it. Okay. Let's implement the virtual function inside this class, and inside the body of this I'm gonna just debug phone call for value. That's the sample message. And also let's bring the QDebug header file. So let's add two other subscriber. I'm gonna use SMS manager class. Again, it's inherit from temperature notifier. Let's also add the virtual function and create a body for this. Let's paste, copy and paste the thing here, SMS for value. And the last one, the last subscriber is alarm manager. Alarm manager. It also inherits from temperature notifier. And let's do the same. This is virtual function, and add the definition. Debug something. For example, alarm for this value. Sorry. Now let's close all these files. So after these files, I'm gonna add a temperature or a temperature sensor class. It's again a C++ class, temperature sensor. So we don't need to inherit from anything here. Inside this class, first of all, private, I'm gonna create a list of or an array of temperature notifier instances. So I'm going to use QList, or you can, let's just use std list. List of temperature notifier class, underline subscriber. So let's also add the temperature notifier and bring the list to this form. Now I'm gonna add two methods. First one is add subscriber, and I'm gonna receive a pointer to temperature notifier class. new subscriber. And also I'm gonna remove subscriber. And also I'm gonna receive a subscriber, so I'm able to remove it from the list. Add definition. And also I'm gonna change, create a method named void change temperature int value. So, and let's create a private method named void notify. That's it. So every time I change the temperature, I'm gonna check it with a threshold, and if the current temperature goes beyond the temperature, so I'm gonna notify all the subscribers. So we have something like this: if value, for example, greater than 40 degree, then call notify, and that's it. So I'm not gonna save the value because it's something unnecessary right now. And here I'm going to iterate over the list. Let's first add something inside the list. So we have underline subscriber. We need to add this new subscriber to this list. So let's just call push back method and pass new subscriber as a parameter. And here inside the remove subscriber, I'm gonna remove subscriber.remove and send this subscriber as a parameter, so it's going to remove it from this list. Now when I want to notify the subscriber, I need to iterate over the list. So we need to do something like this: std list of temperature. We need an iterator. So I'm going to call it it equal to underline subscribers dot begin. So we are just in the beginning of the list, and let's move until iterator not equal to underline subscribers dot end. So what should we do? I'm going to use this notation, temperature raised, and let's also save the value and underline value. So I'm going to save the value inside the change temperature inside a field named underline value. Now I'm going to pass this value to those temperature raised method inside the subscriber objects. So that's it, and let's see what. Here we did our job here. Now let's get back to our demo dialog. Inside this add or remove button, first I need to create an instance of temperature sensor class. Temperature sensor. I'm gonna create a sensor. So I don't need it to be a pointer. It's just okay for right now. And also let's create a couple of other subscriber classes. For example, I'm gonna create phone manager, underline phone manager, SMS manager, and the last one was alarm manager. And that's it. So whenever we click on add, first I'm gonna instantiate for example phone manager here inside the btn add phone equal to new instance of phone manager, and let's use add subscriber, add it to our temperature sensor class. Phone manager. And also for SMS manager equal to new SMS manager class, and I'm gonna call the sensor dot add subscribe method and pass SMS manager instance as the parameter. And also for alarm, I'm gonna say alarm manager equal to new instance of alarm manager, and again passed it as the parameter to add subscriber method. And for remove, we just need to call underline sensor dot remove subscriber. This time I'm gonna pass our phone. So in reality we need to check for null pointer values, but this time in this sample I'm not gonna get into details for this implementation, but you need to do that in your real application. Underline sensor dot remove subscriber, and this time we need to pass SMS manager. And the last one is what? The last one. Sensor dot remove subscriber alarm manager. That's it. And also let's add another button here. I'm gonna call it change temp. Okay. Also name, it should be change temperature, and let's add click start here. So here I'm gonna call the change temperature and pass, for example, 60 degree as the value. It's a static value, but it's gonna trigger that condition and call all the method inside this subscriber. So let's see what we have. I'm going to run the application, put it somewhere like this, and open the observer pattern. Now I'm going to add phone as a subscriber. So this time we only have one subscriber. If I press change temp, oops, something went wrong. I forgot to move the iterator here. Inside the temperature sensor we need to call IT++ also. Let's run it one more time. Move this one here, open the observer window, and if I press change temp, nothing happened because we don't subscribe any of these classes. So I'm going to subscribe phone and press change temp. So here you can see we have a phone call for value 60. I'm going to add alarm, not SMS. Press change temperature again. Here we have two output, phone call and alarm for 60, and I'm gonna also add SMS. So here we have three different phone, alarm, and SMS. All the subscriber will be notified. And then let's for example remove phone. This time we just have SMS and alarm as our subscriber. If I press, let's create it, clear the output and bring this again. If I press change temp, you can see we have alarm and SMS, so I can remove SMS. And if I press change temp, we have only alarm, and if I remove alarm, we have nothing. If I press change temp, we don't have anything to notify. And again, I can add all those methods one more time. If I press change temp, again, 3 method calls will be done inside the publisher class. So this is the main structure for observer pattern. We need a base class or an interface to contain the method that we need to call. Where is it? Temperature notify. Yeah, the method that we need to call when something or some event happened, and then a couple of concrete subscriber should inherit from this class. For example, phone, SMS, and alarm manager are the classes that gonna inherit from this notifier class and will be notified when something happened inside the publisher. The publisher class is another one. This time the name is temperature sensor. Here we have a list of that class, temperature notifier class, and we can add or remove subscriber to this list. And if something happened inside this class, we're going to call a notify function. Inside the notify, we're going to iterate over that list and implement and call the appropriate method. Let's also implement it using queued feature. So I'm gonna add a queue list of temperature. So I'm gonna call it to subscriber 2, and also bring the queue list header file into our application. And here I'm gonna call the add method or append method of the list, or you can just use this notation to add new subscriber to this list, subscriber 2. And here we're also able to call remove one method from queue list and pass the subscriber. And again, I'm gonna create a method named notify2, implement something inside it. Here I'm going to use for each class, for each auto notifier or let's call it auto subscriber inside the underline subscribers 2, and just call subscriber dot temperature raised and pass the underline value, and that's it. So this time I'm gonna call notify2 instead of notify. Let's run the application and see the output. The result is the same, but this time we used queued features or queued classes to handle this situation. Observer pattern. I'm gonna add these 3 subscriber to my publisher, and if I press change type, you can see we have 3 different calls. And I'm going to remove SMS. We have 2 calls. Remove alarm, we have only 1 call. And remove phone, we don't have any calls in our publisher. So this is the way that we can handle it in queued, using queued features. So I hope you enjoy the content and make use of this pattern in your application. Till next session and another behavioral pattern. Goodbye.